So, hello everyone. My name is Sagγιώτης from the Arpedon company in Greece. We welcome you to this webinar to learn more about the UltraView system. This webinar will be in English, and I will help if any help is needed for translation between English and Greek. And we are Arpedon. We are an engineering firm with decades of experience in preventive maintenance space. We are long-time UE systems distributors with deep expertise on the instruments. So I hope you enjoy this webinar, and I'm confident you will, as the product is very interesting. Peter is an exceptional host. And if you want to invest more in your ultrasound knowledge, we have a 3-day certification class in May. There you will learn all about ultrasound inspections and get hands-on experience. And if you pass the exam, you get the certification. I leave the floor to Peter now, and I wish you all a great webinar.
Thank you, Tassos. Thank you. All right, so everybody, welcome. Most likely more people will show up, but this webinar is going to be recorded. So even if you missed the first part, it will be available on YouTube. So products. We are, well, let's say Arpedon is a partner from us in Greece, and they resell our ultrasound products. And basically since this year, or beginning and last year, we launched a new product, and that's what I want to talk about today. And we all know that energy prices are going through the roof, and companies, factories are, well, struggling. Lots of losses, lots of energy, what's being lost, huge prices. And the best thing what you can do basically is to find a solution, what's easy to use, fast, efficient, to find leaks. Well, this webinar is about a new product. It's the UltraView camera, and well, maybe it could be interesting for you or not, but at least you know what's on the market. So what you already see, a new dimension to the world, leak detection. Leak detection is, well, already not a new word. There are lots of different ways how you can find leaks, but of course, to find leaks and don't waste too much time, or maybe there is not enough knowledge just to find leaks with specialized tools, maybe this one could be handy. All right, so okay, so who am I? My name is Peter. I'm the senior product specialist globally for UE systems. I had different roles in the 12 years that I was within UE systems. Maybe already some of you have been taught by me, and maybe you didn't. 12 years at UE systems, so still going strong. Lots of experience in the area in the field of ultrasound. And what very important is, if you have any questions during this webinar, I will not answer them during the webinar. I will also not answer them after the webinar, but there's a Q&A in the top here. So if you have a question, just fill in the Q&A, and I will come back to you personally by phone, by email, or maybe Tassos will come back to you if it's Greek related, to help you and to answer you with your questions. Okay, so UE Systems itself, we are an American company based in New York, 1973. So we have more than 50 years. Well, let's say this year, something to celebrate. We exist 50 years. So 50 years experience in the area and the field of ultrasound. It started with energy savings, and yeah, over the years we also developed different tools, online systems to have a stronger position in the predictive maintenance. But for this webinar, I will only focus on leak detection and electrical inspection with the UltraView camera. Okay, so before we're even going to start, we need to think of what's the plan. We all know we have leaks because we hear, but do you even think about it, what it will cost a leak? And the abuse of air, that means we have compressed air, we have a big compressor, but what do we do with the air? Do we use it in the summer to cool ourselves, right? Or do we use it to clean off material, grit, dust, dirt from a conveyor belt? So basically we're abusing air. So air, it's only air, right? It doesn't cost anything. But if you look more deeper into it, what do you think? How is air being produced? And when you look at it efficiently, that means the energy I put into the compressor, the output is so incredibly low. It's approximately 10-15%. So the energy I put in, only 10 or 15% is efficient. So from that 10 and 15%, if we also have leaks, yeah, that costs so much money. It's literally a waste of energy. So start inspecting today. But the people, culture, yeah, we always do it like this. We do it for years like this. Finding compressed air leaks when the factory isn't shut down in the weekend. And we listen with our ears and we're going to find the leaks. Well, to be honest, it's better than doing nothing. But if you can do it on an easier way and you can do it during production, so it's a no-brainer. Training and development. Are the people trained in using tools? Do they understand what compressed air is being used for? The more you know about it, the more it makes sense to start doing your leak detection survey. Okay, so of course, there are lots of tools. We are ultrasound, we're specialized in ultrasound, but there's so many technologies. And depending on the assets you have, there are different tools which you can use to optimize your PDM program. But when it comes for leak detection, there are not so many tools. The most used tools for leak detection are the ears, when the factory is in shutdown and then you're going to do your inspection, or you're going to use ultrasound to listen to a leak. Well, that's what I said. Since this year we have a new product, you don't listen to a leak anymore, you visualize the leak. So that would mean if you have the ultrasound camera, because it picks up ultrasound and it literally visualizes a leak when it's there, you see it on the screen and you know immediately where it is. Okay, so the UltraView camera, you see it identify air leaks 10 times faster. And trust me, it really is approximately 10 times faster. Because when you see where the leak is, you know where you need to walk through in the factory. You know immediately the direction. It's not that you scan and listen. No, you see it. The camera also has a Wi-Fi connection. That would mean that all the data, what's being saved on the camera, is automatically being uploaded to the cloud. And in the cloud, you can create the report. But I will talk about that a little later. So it's easy to use. You also see the size of the camera. It's approximately 35 centimeters high. The battery pack is in the foot, so you can hold it with one hand. All right, so the camera. We have two versions of the camera. The first one is the leak detection camera, and that's what I want to talk about now. But there's also a version that can do leak detection and partial discharge. And with the partial discharge part, I will talk about after the leak section. Okay, so are you leaking profit? Why do air leaks matter? It's what I already said. So a typical facility can have a potential savior of 40,000 euro a year. And this is a low number, especially with the energy prices we have at the moment. And there are factories, what I heard, they're paying more than 50 cents per kilowatt hour. So it's no discussion. You need immediately start doing something. So when you have a tool to find the leaks fast, could you imagine how much money you can save yearly based and that year in, year out? All right, so the camera. Why ultrasound? Well, first of all, ultrasound is being produced by the turbulence. When you have a leak, a compressed air leak, a compressed gas leak, or a vacuum leak, there's turbulence. And the turbulence produces audible sound, but also high frequency sound. The camera in this case will pick up that high frequency sound and not the audible sound. So if you walk into the factory, basically it's really focused on a certain frequency range, and it will only show, in this case, then the leak in that high frequency range. So the audible sounds, what we normally hear as humans, are not being visualized on the screen. So compressed air, or at least let's say like this, the leaks, the ultrasound that we use, ultrasound is directional. You can see it a little like a flashlight. When you have the flashlight, that's the sound source. A leak, the turbulence, ultrasound work exactly the same way. So there's a certain of sound in a certain direction. So when the camera picks up the directional sound, you see a hot spot. It's not a big spot, you see a hot spot. And you see immediately where it's located. And that makes it so easy and fast to detect. Okay, so if you look at the front side of the camera, well, you see, of course, the wrist strap. Always wear the wrist strap, but you also see 124 sensors. So it's an incredible sensitive tool. 124 sensors also means that the signal to noise ratio, so the background noise, is very low. So that makes it capable of finding very small leaks. My experience, what I have is some gas leaks that I found that were almost undetectable with leak spray. I still saw them with the camera. Of course, we confirmed it with the leak spray, but the camera picked it up without any problems. So, nope, let's keep this one. All right, so just point and let it surprise you. That literally means you have the camera and you saw the screen and it has a wide angle. It's beam forming, that's how they call it. And that would mean what you see on the screen of the camera is the area what it is inspecting. So once you have the asset where a leak is on, you see it immediately on the screen. So that makes it, of course, clear where the leak is, and it's easy for you as an inspector just to walk there and to confirm the leak location. So you can do a very quick scanning in the factory. You just walk around, and when you see something on the screen, you know, hey, there's a leak. I will get a little closer to the leak to confirm where it is and save the snapshot. Well, you also see it pinpoints leaks as small as 0.016 liter per minute. So it's very low level. And that makes it also interesting for vacuum. Because a vacuum leak, the most turbulence goes inside the equipment. But with the camera, you can still find the vacuum leaks from a pretty far distance. Okay, so real-time data on the screen. It's also AI is in there, artificial intelligence, and you see it recognizes the sound the leaks emit. That means the camera recognizes the sound if that's produced by a leak or maybe some competing ultrasound. And how does he do that? Very simple. The camera has real-time displaying the actual losses a year. That would mean if you scan, you can see on the screen how much that leak annually costs, yearly based. If you see a hotspot on the screen, I say hotspot, but of course it's not temperature, it's ultrasound visualized. But if it's not a leak, you will not see an estimation. So that makes it also easy for the inspector because you're not listening anymore, you're just visualizing. If you see something on the camera, but there's no annual costs, it's not a leak. And that makes it also easier for the inspector just to confirm, all right, I see something, it's competing ultrasound, it's not from a leak. Well, it presents the sound level that also indicates a leak size. It shows the costs, but also the leak size, the liter per minute, and the decibel real time on the display. So also the inspector, when he sees a leak, knows immediately, oh, this is a small leak, this is an average leak, or this is a big leak. We immediately need to do something about it. Okay, so here you see the camera, and this is what I meant. You see it's gray, a black and white screen, and the costs with the red arrow on the right side, you see in this situation, this example, 690 euro a year. In the middle red arrow, you see the leak rate is 46.9 liter per minute, and the decibel level is 30.7.3. So you have all the information available on the screen if you want. Well, in this example, you see a nice yellow spot on the left side, and that is where the location of the leak is. So that makes it easier for the inspector to immediately see where the leak is located. All right, so here another picture what I took from a camera, and you see here also a compressed air application, and you know where the leak is because you see the hotspot over there. So the background is black and white, and if there is something, a phenomenon like a leak, you see a color, and that makes it easy to find it. And the air leak from up to 100 meters, well, of course, that's in the perfect situation, but I did a test once, and I found literally a leak from 65 meters distance. So could you imagine you're standing on the other side of the hole and you find a leak? That's 65 meters further down the road. Okay, so this was also a nice one. What he did, this is my colleague, and he was doing a demo at the customer side. And of course, you see the picture. Well, it's a video. I will play it where the leak is, and he's using ultrasound to listen. And then you see the difference. It's a short video. So he is inspecting and searching and then using the rubber focus probe, and it's repeating itself. And with the camera, you already know where the location of the leak is. So that makes it just a little easier to detect the leak. Okay, so smart AI-driven functionalities ensure a seamless user experience. Auto filter features automatically filters out disturbances in noisy environments. The leak detection camera has now an option that is auto filter. That means as an inspector, you don't even have to select a certain frequency filter anymore. The camera does that for you. And what it also does, and that's very important, if you want to quantify the leak for the reporting, of course, you need to say from what distance did I store the decibel reading, because the camera cannot see from how far he literally was when you start the decibel level. But the newer versions, what we have now, they have auto distance detection. So the camera, by listening to it, knows at what distance he is standing from the leak. So when you save the snapshot, you're always having the same, or well, let's say the correct distance to find the leak, to store the leak for estimation. Sorry. All right. The filter options, what you see here, and this is the earlier version, and this is also the plus version. That means for leak detection and for partial discharge. Here you can still select 3 frequency ranges. You see SLM, ultra, and high, and that is basically in what frequency range is the camera picking up the sound. Well, you see we're in the high frequency, 20 to 30 kilohertz, 30 to 65 kilohertz, and another 20 to 30 kilohertz. But the difference between SLM and high is an extra filter to, well, prevent certain sounds to be visualized. So an extra filter for the competing ultrasounds. All right, so leak examples. What can we find with the camera? Well, basically we can find any type of gas or vacuum as long as there is turbulence, because turbulence produces ultrasound. Well, on the left one, nitrogen leaks. The middle one, of course, the most common one, compressed air leaks. The right one, and this is where I was, it was at on the top of an oven that was gas. It was turbulent. We found it where it was. And of course, the last one, vacuum leaks. You see also see here, there was a vacuum machine, and I'm still standing from 4 meters distance, and I saw this vacuum leak already from 10-15 meters. Then I walked a little closer and I saw where it was. So vacuum, compressed air, compressed gas makes it possible with this camera. Okay, so what you see here, straight to the cloud, and this is also very nice. If I can say it, well, not unpolitely, but let's say it's really idiot proof. The data that's being collected on the camera, once it has Wi-Fi connection, so it's connected to your Wi-Fi, or you can even connect it to a hotspot on your cell phone, it automatically uploads the snapshots to the cloud. You create your own account on the cloud. You pair the camera you have with this cloud, and once you are in the field taking snapshots, and although you don't have the computer open, but you have the camera connected to the Wi-Fi, it starts uploading the data already to the cloud, and it sorts it out by date. Well, here you see an example, different snapshots, and then in the cloud you can decide, do I want to create a report from all the leaks? And then you will have, and maybe some of you are already working with our leak app. That's what you can use together with the ultra probes. The leak app creates a very nice Excel report with the estimated losses, with the pictures, etc. And this does exactly the same. So you just select the snapshots, you go to, well, unfortunately it's in Dutch, but to reports, you select create report, it will generate a report, and then you have a nice Excel report with the estimated losses and an overview from the leaks that you found. Okay, so this is a little what you see when you select a snapshot. In this case, you see here is the leak. It's a sound recording what the camera automatically makes. So what you also can do is, if you want to listen, well, for a leak detection or for a leak, of course, I can imagine you don't want to listen for it. But if you have an electrical discharge, it could be interesting also to listen to the sound pattern. So that is also possible with the camera. It creates 4 seconds sound recordings, what you can use to analyze later if you want to. Okay, this is also an example what you will see in the leak report. On the right bottom corner, for example, 6,600 euros found on leaks. And we found 9 leaks in this situation, and they're all air. What you also can do, if you want, you do your survey in the factory, and you want to do nitrogen and leaks at the same time. Because what you can do, you can just select a type of gas, and then it will just make a combination in the same report from the different gases if you want to. Okay, so why the camera for leak detection? Of course, there are several technologies what you can do for leak detection, but of course, basically you want to do it as fast as possible, as easy as possible. So with the camera, it's easy detection because you see the leak. You know immediately where the leak is. You see what you scan. That means you can inspect very big areas in a short amount of time. So when you see a hot spot on the screen, you know where to walk to and then save the snapshot. Easy severity assessment, because the camera can see how big the turbulence is. So when you filled in the kilowatt hour price, it also know if it's in the range of a small leak, average leak, or a big leak. If it's a big leak, the color is not yellow, but orange or red. So the camera also immediately says, all right, you're now having a big leak, an average leak, or a small leak. Okay, so that was the leak detection part. What we have here, and you also see me inspecting outside the fence on high voltage systems, high voltage power lines. You can inspect high voltage, medium voltage with the UltraView camera. And the nice thing about this camera is it will tell you what kind of discharge it is. So you don't have to do extra analysis, diagnosis on external software. Eventually, when the snapshots go into the cloud, it will tell you what kind of discharge it is. All right, so these are some facts what I have from the US. It's estimated that industries can lose as much as 6 million per hour of downtime. And of course, if you have electrical failure and the factory is in downtime because the transformer is not working anymore, that will cost so much money, and it will take so much time to eventually fix a transformer that it is worth it to inspect them. I know lots of people already inspect their transformers with infrared, with oil analysis, but why not using ultrasound? Listen or visualize. So what you see here, this is a high voltage power line, and you see which one of the phases was facing the problem. And also with an electrical discharge, it's turbulence. And turbulence is being visualized, and the camera can see that. And the same as with leak detection, the camera also recognizes something if it's electrical related or not. And I will tell you later how it does that. All right, so where can we use the camera? What's the best field of electrical inspection with the camera? Well, of course, partial discharge in substations, open electrical assets, bush bars, switchgear, dry transformers. You can also use it for SF6 gas insulators when they're pressurized. When there is an SF6 gas leak, and of course it's not very windy, but then you can find it. Where I would not use it for is if you have gas insulated switchgear, the GIS systems. That's not going to work. It needs to be airborne, and then you can find it and see it. Okay, so partial discharge locations are displayed in real time. With automatic PD localization, recognition, and phase-resolved partial discharge, the PRPD, and this is what it makes possible that it recognizes what kind of problem it is, you can find the leaks and you can find the discharges from a very far distance. And PRPD, phase-resolved partial discharge, can hear if something is electrical related or not. And how does the camera visualizes that? Imagine you're in the field and the camera picks up something. You see that red arrow on the picture. You see there a spectrum. And basically the spectrum is telling you the sound what I'm picking up at this moment is electrical related. So if you pick up a sound, so you see a hotspot on the screen, but there is no spectrum, that means it's competing ultrasound. So that makes it easy for the inspector to differentiate between something is electrical related or something is not. Okay, so the same as with leak detection, the plus version, the plus camera that can do leak detection and electrical, it also has 3 different filters. And the reason why we did that is because you never know what the surrounding situation is. Is it a substation where it's very quiet? Well, then you can use a lower frequency filter. But if you're in a factory and there is a transformer and there's a lot of competing ultrasounds, maybe you can go in the ultra filter that it only picks up the higher frequency sounds. Okay, so what can we find? Well, here are just some examples what we have. Negative corona, positive corona, surface or internal discharge. So there are different types of discharge what the camera will recognize. As long as it is possible that you literally can see the asset what you want to inspect. If it's completely enclosed, then it will not work. That's the same as with ultrasound. You need the possibility to inspect the asset. Okay, so here you see a snapshot. It looks a little similar like what you saw with leak detection, but in this case it's for electrical. You also see the PRPD because the sound that it is picking up at this moment is PRPD. And if you look a little closer, it will also tell you, because it recognizes the sound pattern, what kind of discharge is it, what I'm inspecting at that certain asset. Well, if you fill in the distance and you fill in the voltage level and the type of asset you're inspecting, it will automatically also determine the severity. And it gives you a first advice what to do. But if also the partial discharge type, what you see on the snapshot, you see here a blue line and the other 3 are grayed out. That means the sound what it is picking up here is surface or internal discharge. Oh, excuse me. So the report, the snapshot will tell you what kind of discharge it is. And that makes it, of course, very easy and quick for your inspection. And you can also see from how far I'm standing away from the asset. Okay, something what we integrated in here, if we have existing ultrasound users in here, maybe you already saw this sound analysis software, it's Spectralizer. We still have that, and because the camera is making sound recordings, we can play the sound files in our Spectralizer software to do basically an extra analysis. You can save the snapshots and include them in the report if you want. So that is an extra with the electrical analysis what we have. Okay, so why the camera for electrical discharge? Well, basically same as for leak detection. It's easy to detect an electrical problem. If it's electrical related, the camera will tell you what kind of problem it is. If you know the name of the asset, you know the voltage level and the distance that you were inspecting the asset, it will also tell you the severity of the asset and what you need to do. Okay, so hopefully it was a little clear about this product. If you want to know more about this product, of course, you can always contact me directly, or you can contact Tassos from Arpedon if it's in Greece. Once again, the Q&A, I see there are some questions popping up, so that's perfect. If you have more questions at the moment, don't hesitate, fill them in the Q&A and I will come back to you as soon as possible. I think later today you already have your answer. So hopefully it was interesting for you, that you know what's on the market, what products are there. And the camera is just an easy tool for leak detection and electrical discharge if you want to. So once again, I want to thank you for attending this webinar, and I wish you all a pleasant day. Thank you. Bye.